Okay, again, our agenda for this afternoon, we will be talking about what the subject of art is. We're going to talk about the ways of representing the subject, the kinds of subject, the choice of subject of the artist, and the subject and the content. So let's first begin to what subject is. So when we are asking what subject is, we are trying to identify or we are trying to question what comes into our mind when we hear of the word. I mean, if we look at a work of art, or what do we think a work of art is all about when we look at it first? Again, when we are trying to identify the subject, we are trying to question what an artwork is all about. So let's first look at this first artwork for this afternoon. This is The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. So when we look at it, we can say that what is it all about? It is about the Last Supper of Jesus with his 12 apostles. So as simple and plain as that, the Last Supper. Okay, and then when we look at this one, it's the Two Fridas by Frida Kahlo. We can say that the subject here is about the two Fridas. The two Fridas. What do we mean? It's Frida herself, but one is in the past and Frida at present. So that's what it means. Why is it about the two Fridas? But it's the same. It's her. It's just her development or her experience, the changes that she has gone through. So if you can see here, she has a seemingly looking abnormal heart here, and meanwhile in this Frida, she has a normally working heart. Okay, so this is a representation of her past and of her present. And the thing is, this was her when she was still younger, and she was unexperienced about the ways of the world, so her heart is not yet heartbroken. Well, this one is her wearing a wedding dress and her heart is broken, or her heart is rather, it is scarred. Okay, so that's the story behind the two Fridas. But nevertheless, the subject here is the two Fridas, the past and present Frida. Okay, so that's the two Fridas. Now, when we talk about subject, we mean that this refers to any person, object, scene, or event described or represented in a work of art. Some arts have subjects, some others do not. Again, when we are trying to answer the question, what is this artwork all about? We are already answering the subject, or we are rather identifying the subject already. Okay, and now it's your turn to try and identify the subject in some works of art. So let's see. This is Grant Wood's American Gothic. So let's try to identify what is the subject of this artwork. Go ahead, anybody can answer. You may raise your hands. You may just say your answers. You may put your answers in the chat box. Go ahead. Yes, Miss Bernardine. Okay, do you want to answer? Okay, nobody wants to answer right now. Okay, how do we answer this? The man holding a fork and women. Okay, I'm sure there is only one woman there. Okay, but you're right. There is a man who is holding a fork. Now let's see. Who is a man who holds a fork? What is he? What is his job? Husband supremacy. Okay, I hope
Cameraman.
it's a theme. Okay, right? Miss Colleen, a gardener, farmer, right? Okay, farmer, that's right. So we can say, we can establish that this man here is a farmer. Now, what is his relation to this woman? This woman, maybe it is his wife. Okay, and the wife, does he look happy or not? What is with her expression?
She's confused, ma'am.
She's confused. What do you mean she's confused? She's confused if about
About what his husband doing.
okay. So maybe she's confused that the husband is holding a pitchfork when he clearly told her that he's a dentist. Sure ba? Joke lang. Pero that's it. Parang maybe she is confused about something. Okay, and does she look happy? Does she look happy? Does she look in bliss? No, she doesn't look actually happy. So what is the subject here? Okay, we can say that the subject here is the farmer and his wife, or the couple, both of them, or since we can say that maybe in our analysis, in the way we look at it, they are unhappy, so we can say they are an unhappy couple. So it's about the unhappy couple. Okay, and regarding this one, husband supremacy. Okay, commentary on the repression and austerity of rural life in America, which was sent to me by Richmond. This is actually a deeper analysis into this. So you need to go to the history of this one to really understand what it is about. But yes, it is somewhat related to the repression and austerity of rural life in America. However, that is not yet the subject here. Ang subject lang natin is very light lang dapat. Okay, all right, so that is the first one. The second one, this time we have Diego Velázquez's The Last Meninas, or The Ladies in Waiting. So if we look at this painting, we can see that the subject here is obviously the ladies in waiting, or the ladies of the palace. So if we look at them, all the ladies here, they are all equally dressed beautifully. That may mean that maybe they are a part of the noble class, or that maybe they are a part of the palace. All right, so the ladies in waiting, or maybe the subject here can also be, what do you call it? The, what's that? The portrayal of women in their daily life, or these ladies, the noble ladies in their daily life. Okay, and then the last one, let's try to identify the subject here. Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory. Now, I want you to look into the objects here and how are they related to each other. So there is a clock, but it's a melting clock. There is a hill over there. There is a table, and on top of the table, there is a tree, and the tree is dead. Okay, and here is a cloth, and here is an oval with ants on top of it. Okay, what do you think is this painting all about? All right, I like that perspective. It's wasted time, fading memory. Good. Okay, who else? Okay, Mr. Soriano, can you open your camera just for this lecture? Para ma-maximize natin ang viewing. Okay, there it is. All right, so I like your inputs. Wasted time, fading memory. So obviously this is a clock. It is about time. That is what it is saying. And and memory, fading memory. I like it that you have what do you call this? You have connected it to the title, which is The Persistence of Memory. So somewhat there is time, there is memory. And it looks like we are running out of time to save the earth. So I also like this, Miss Garcia, Nathalie. So yes, it is also a representation of that. So there is nature and the nature is dying and time is running out. So maybe it is about that. But I like all of your inputs about this one. So maybe we can, yes, the subject of this is that time is running. Okay, that time is running and that our memory is fading while time is running and our time on earth is running as well. So it's like the time, our time on earth is just fleeting, really just passing by. Okay, so that's how we identify the subject. So sometimes the subject is related to its title, it's easier. And sometimes when the subjects or rather the objects in the artwork are identifiable, it's easier to identify its subject. Okay, but nevertheless, kahit itong complex, we are able to still identify the subject. Okay, so there are two types of arts when it comes to subject. The first one is what we call the representational art. So we said a while back that an art can have a subject and it cannot have a subject, and it's okay. And it's okay, it doesn't have a subject as well. So representational art has a subject, okay? So it has a focus, it has a main idea, or it has a topic that it is trying to present. Okay, and meanwhile, the non-representational art doesn't really have a subject. Okay, it doesn't have a center. It is not particularly referring to anything. Okay, for example, this building. It's the building. It's not the picture of the building. It's the building. So this is a type of a non-representational art. Now, in non-representational art, there are. It's usually because why do people make non-representational art? It's because they are just thrilled by combination of colors, of lines, or that they just want to make something different, something that doesn't have to have a subject. That's why they are making that. Now let us try to identify these following paintings, if they are representational or non-representational. Now, how do you answer? You write N for non-representational, and representational you write R. Okay, in the chat box. All right, let's start. Okay, there it is. Is this R or N? Okay, everybody can answer. Use the chat box. Okay, there. So ganun lang naman. Okay, just R or N. All right, so everybody's writing N, 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 N. It is non-representational. Okay, and that's right, it is non-representational. Now, if you look at it, it looks as though the artist of this one just really wants to combine colors and shapes and you know, it doesn't really have a point, but they just want to combine them. It is because maybe they are expressing themselves, or maybe it is evoking for them an emotional response. Okay, depende yan. Now, we go to the next one. How about this one? Is this R or N? R or N? Okay, so R, 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 R. R, 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 R. Right, so it is R. Now, I want you to identify the subject of this one. How about Mr. Bill Palway? Mr. Bill, okay, what is the subject of this prehistoric cave painting? Okay, again, when we are trying to identify the subject, I want you to look into the objects and the relationships. So what is this? What is this? What are they doing? What are these? Okay. Yes, Miss Zarina, then go ahead. What is the subject of this artwork? Okay, it is hunting. All right, so obviously there are hunters, there are the animals that are being hunted. So they are in the process of hunting. So correct, hunting. Tama ang subject mo. Now, some of you maybe mako-confuse kayo, sasabihin nyo, hunter lang. Pag hunter lang kasi kulang. Kasi pag hunter lang, bakit nilagay pa yung mga animals na yon? Bakit nakapost pa to na nag-hunt? Bakit may dugo pa doon? Okay? And it cannot be the animal only kasi meron naman mga hunters dito. Okay, next one. Let's look at this one. And let's identify if it is R or N. Go ahead. What is this? Representational or non-representational? Okay, so very easy. It is also representational. Okay, how about, I would like to ask, si Basilio, Mr. Basilio. Okay, what is the subject of this painting? Okay, Mr. Basilio, what is the subject of this painting? Okay, the others can answer also. Don't be shy, okay? Yes, Mr. Mark, Daniel. Ah, there it is. So sumagot si Mr. Basilio. And that's right, human with guitar. Okay, a lady playing a guitar, a girl with a mandolin. Very good. So all of those are right. However, yung human masyadong vague. Okay, so kita naman na yung hair naman niya is hair ng girl. Okay, and there is a feature here that says she's a girl. See, so sabi ni Miss Ryle Kate, a naked female with a mandolin. Okay, so she's very specific naman. All right, but since it is the what do you call this? The title is already here. It is just that. The girl with the mandolin, that's okay na. Okay, next. How about this one? Piet Mondrian's The Blue One. Is this representational, non-representational? Okay, it is non-representational. So another example is that yun. So a while back, masyadong enchanted yung person to create an art mixing colors lang. However, this one naman, very interested naman siya in creating lines. Okay, kahit wala naman subject, wala namang focus yung ginagawa niya. Right, so that's non-representational and representational. Now we go to representational art in music. So when we talk about music, it's not about the songs. Kasi ang songs, they're becoming partly literature already. They are poems kasi may words. Ang music na sinasabi natin is music, the melody lang. Okay, so representational art, music can also be representational if one, it imitates natural sound. For example, this one. It's called Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee. I'm not sure if you've heard about this. But it is, what do you call this? It is imitating the sound of bumblebee. Okay, or it can also be to set the mood, like Claude Debussy's Clair de Lune. Okay, so the Claire de Lune is this one. Tagal naman. Claire de Lune. If you remember, this appeared in Twilight 1. Now, the purpose of this is to set the mood. Or maybe you're more familiar with Yeruma, Kiss the Rain, and all of others of Yeruma's music. Okay, narrate the story this time. It's Paul Ducas's The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Now, how does music or how does the melody narrate a story? If you listen to it, it feels as though it is trying to tell you a story. Maraming music dyan that if you listen to it, parang it's telling the story already. For example, mga OST ng soundtrack ng mga movies or series. Okay? Next naman, we have non-representational art and music. Again, these non-representational art and music, we enjoy listening to them because the sound, maganda yung arrangement niya and because they somewhat evoke an emotional response. Kahit wala naman talaga silang message or wala naman talaga silang focus or purpose. For example, we have Ludwig van Beethoven. Symphony number 5. Okay, or this one, Johann Pachelbel's Canon in D minor. Okay, what is this? So you know this one. It's somewhat familiar. Yeah. So if you listen to them, I mean, they were created not to really have a subject, but they were arranged really nicely. But still, they were part of music. They are in part. Okay? So those are non-representational and representational art. Okay, now we go to the ways of representing our subject or portraying the subject in the artwork. So when we talk about this one, the ways that artists represent their subject differ in the inventiveness and the purpose kung bakit nila ginawa ito. Now, the very common way to represent the subject is, number 1, realistic. Okay, this is used when things are depicted in the way they would normally appear in nature. So whatever it is that you see, that is what you get. Whatever it is that you see, that's what you capture, that's what you place in your canvas, or that's what you photograph. No edits. However, kahit walang truly realistic work of art, that is what we do. Sometimes, there are always alterations, there are additions, there are illusions that we add. For example, kung inask nila tayong mag-paint ng picture nila or face nila, and then nakita mo na, ay, meron siyang pimple doon sa noon niya. So, kinover mo siya kunti. Okay, so that is still realistic yung pag-portray mo, but it's not too realistic. Again, it's not copying it from nature. So, I mean, it's just copying it from nature, but it will never be the same as the original. For example, this one, Gustave Courbet's Le Creblus de Blé, okay, or the Wheat Sifters. So it was just captured the way it would appear in reality. Now, di ba sa art, hindi ba pwedeng realistic lahat ang portrayal ng art? That's not the case. Bakit? Kasi some people have decided to mask their feelings, to hide what they really want to say. So hindi agad-agad na ang nakikita mo ay yun na yung meaning. They just want to hide it somewhat. And that's the birth of the abstract art. Okay, this is the process of simplifying and or reorganizing objects and elements according to the demands of artistic expression. So some of you have compared yourself to abstract art, just like for our activity, sa very first activity natin, some of you have compared yourself to abstract art, and you say na you are like an abstract art because it takes longer for a person to understand you as compared to it is in realistic art. Okay, just like this one, Vicente Manansala's Sinigang. All right, so I think abstract art is quite self-explanatory because you already know how to compare it to yourself. Okay, next one we have is distortion. So distortion happens when the figures this time have been arranged that proportions differ noticeably from natural measurements. So for example, El Greco's Christ healing the blind. So in this one, parang it looks like it is a normal one. It looks realistic enough. However, it has been stretched vertically. So na-stretch yan. So this is not the real proportion of Jesus and all of these people during that time. It was just stretched because El Greco wanted to emphasize spirituality. Okay, and then distortion also happens when you try to rearrange the body parts. So hindi sila in proportion. For example, caricatures like this one. So see, mahaba yung ilong niya. Okay, this one has a big head and a small body. All right. And that is because they just want to emphasize or dramatize the shape, or they want to create an emotional effect kung bakit nila gustong ipakitang ganito. And what else? They want to satirize or criticize the government or an event. Usually ganun yon. Sa mga editorials ng mga newspapers, they keep criticizing whatever is happening. They are satirizing them like this one. Okay, sometimes my truth, sometimes it's just plain bluff, sometimes wala naman talagang katotohanan, kulang ng research. But anyway, that is distortion, caricature. Okay, the last way of representing subject is surrealism. So this time, surrealism naman, combination of realism siya, at the same time distortion. Now, how does that happen? Realism, again, we are able to identify the subject in it. However, there is distortion kasi there is misproportion. There is hindi siya proportionate yung mga objects niya. For example, this one, very big head, and then maliit na we can identify the man, okay, but this one is not presented in how it is supposed to be. Upside down yung house, pati yung girl. And what is this milkmaid doing here with the cow? And what is this tree doing down here? Okay, so surrealism. Kalat-kalat. And if you remember yung persistence of memory a while back, it is like that. So surrealism din yun kasi you don't really understand what is happening in there. Okay, it is not very clear and it is as though it is dreamlike. Okay, so that is surrealism. So those are the 4 ways of representing subject. Number 1 again is realistic. We have abstract, we have distortion, and we have surrealism. Do you have any questions about this one? Relay? Okay, good. That means we can proceed, and we go this time to the kinds of subject. So the kinds of subject reflects whatever the artist fancies, or depende yan. Whatever the artist is interested in, whatever the time is interested in. Okay, minsan din depende talaga sa ano yung available na material. Okay? So number 1, landscapes, seascapes, and cityscapes. We can relate to this one kasi kahit hindi naman tayo artists, when we look at nature and nature, for example, sunset, ganon, beach, or mountains, we just take a photo of it, we capture the moment. So landscape, seascape subjects are out of the fascination of people to their physical environment. So wow, nawaw ka lang. So you wanna take it down. And nature has internal qualities that just inspires the artist to create their masterpieces. So talagang nature is really a very good subject of artworks, okay, of doing your art, creating arts. For example, this is nature, this is Mount Fuji, Katsushika Hokusai, the Great Wave of Kanagawa. So this is just one of the 36 wood prints. So this is printed in wood, and 36 views of Mount Fuji. So, iba-ibang perspective, but it's Mount Fuji, yung subject niya. Okay? So, this is the wave. Yan. All right, next one, we have still life this time. So, still life. These are groups of inanimate objects arranged in an indoor setting. So, inanimate, they're not alive, they're not breathing, they are just inside. Okay, and these are arranged to show particular human interests and activities. So for example, we have Paul Cézane's The Still Life of Water Jug. So if you look at it, it's just technically, literally a group of things put together and then put into an art, captured into an art. Now, if you look at it, parang ang nonsense naman ng point. What's the point of this artwork, of this still life work? But this actually addresses technical problems ng mga artists when it comes to form, to experimenting color, to creating shadows. So you see, it makes them curious because it makes them better at their craft. Okay, so how do we make a good combination of colors to come up with a good looking apple? Okay, or the shadows, how do we put them all together para makuha siya in toto or maganda yung depiction niya? Okay, next one, the third subject is animals. So animals are represented by artists from every age and place. Or remember the prehistoric cave painting that we had? So there were animals in there. Now, why is it in every age and place? Because in every age and place, there is an animal. And somewhat people are fascinated by animals. Bakit? Kasi animals are different from humans. They have vigor, they have grace, they have different, they have fur, and that's not something that you see every day. And they have maybe body parts that are not common. So that's why you want to capture that. Okay, and these have been used as symbols in conventional religious art. That's why naging subject sila ng artwork. Now, for example, Abdul Marie Asia Emaus, the Sari Manok. So the Sari Manok is a sculpture. It's made from metal. Okay, and this has a very interesting story behind it. I've been telling the story for, this is the 6th time already. Okay, but it's still very interesting to me. Okay, so the story behind this was, this is Sari Manok. It's a golden bird, and it is Maranao's proudest prestige symbol. So symbolic yan sa kanilang stories. It is used in festivities, and it's a legendary bird that was related to Indarapatra, the story of Indarapatra and Sulaiman. So Indarapatra is a male, and he was once in his palace, and then he saw a moon goddess that is bathing in perfumed pool near his palace. Parang he's just outside sightseeing at night, and then nakita niya yung goddess, and then he fell in love with her instantly. And then, but the goddess said that if you want to woo me, if you want to really pursue my love, you have to come to the moon and woo me. Kasi naturally, she was a moon goddess. And then, obviously this was an impossible request because Indarapatra was just a man and he didn't have wings and he didn't know how to go to the moon. So one night he was playing with one of his treasures. It is a golden bird, this one. And then he just expressed his feelings. Nah, he just longs for the moon goddess thou. But he did not know that the bird was actually enchanted. And so the enchanted gold bird rose with Indarapatra to the sky and they vanished forever. So nawala sila. And we don't even know kung pumunta ba siya sa moon or mamaya sa sun pala yung pinuntahan nila. Okay, but anyway, it is really amazing that we can make an animal, an animal can influence us or rather inspire us to create a work of art. So marami pa. For example, sa Egypt, the way they praise cats, yung mga pyramids nila are patterned after animals, 'di ba? Yung mga yung mga sculptures nila ay may mga cats. Yan. So that's animals. Now the fourth one is portraits this time. So when we say portraits, we talk about the human face. Okay, and people are intrigued, na curious sila sa human face because this seems like an index, or rather it is how do I say it? Parang it has a way of telling about the person's character by looking at the face. Okay, and because the face is very capable of showing a variety of moods and feelings that artist just wants to capture the moment. So for example, Johan Vermeer's The Girl with the Pearl Earrings. So if you look at it, she did not really sit for her face portrait to be taken, pero parang it's just a captured moment na she just looked back. And then this is actually a representation. They just want to freeze the time that young ladies are still young ladies and they are not yet full adults. So there is the innocence, there's the naivety yet in this portrait. Okay, next one. We have also portrait in literature. So marami yan with the use of words. You will be able to identify, you will be able to describe, you'll be able to paint a portrait of a person just by the words. Okay, next one, we have figures. So this time ang figures naman, it is talking about the body's form, the structure, and the flexibility, and the contours and the lines of the body, and that inspires the artist, that challenges the artist to depict it in a variety of ways, so in different ways. So maybe meron yung mga in toto, idealistic ang mga figures nila, or meron yung mga abstract ang mga figures nila. So for example, we have Myron's discus thrower or the discobolus. So this is a sculpture, obviously. And this is Greek's ideal of how a man should be. So ito yung standard nila. So they are really interested in capturing the perfect human form. So dapat ganito ang man nila doon. Now, the difference naman sa woman is iba naman. If you are able to encounter Greek paintings later on, you will be able to see na ibang portrayal nila sa woman, iba yung standard nila sa woman. Woman is a little bit chubby and meron siyang love handles. Okay? So, hindi siya skinny. Yan. Alright, so that's figures. Usually, pag sa paintings, makikita nyo, there are a lot na hubad lang sila, ganun. There are a lot na close naman sila, but, focus talaga is on the figure, the contours, the lines. Now, the difference between the figure and the portrait, ang portrait, it's more focused on the face and the character. Ang figure talaga is figure talaga yung focus niya. Alright? Next one, we have everyday life. So this is out of the deep concern of man about life around them. And this is just a collection of observations that they have. They just want to capture the moment. They are sitting down and they just want to capture the moment. So siguro, for example, this one, Fernando Morsolo's planting rice. So it is a part of everyday life. Everyday life yan. Now, for example, ikaw din, gusto mong mag-paint din and you just went to the neighborhood and then may nakita kang mga chismosa dyan and they are just all gathered together and you just want to capture that moment, you can also do that. That is everyday life. Okay, next naman we have number 7, that's legend and history. So history consists of verifiable facts, legends of unverifiable ones. Okay, although many of them are often accepted as true because tradition has held them so. So it can be inspired by legend and history to be able to create a work of art. Now, for example, this one, Felix Resurrection Hidalgo's The Assassination of Governor General Fernando Bustamante. So this one is influenced by history. So the story behind this naman is Governor General Fernando Bustamante took over a corrupt and lavish lavish spender na governor general. Now he was investigating the case of this guy, this ex-governor, and then he found out that this was actually connected to high ministers, high priests, or rather high officials in the church and high officials in the government. Now they have warned him to stay out of it. But then Governor General was an honorable man, so he still pursued it. Now what happened was that he was walking one day down the stairs and then an angry mob, an angry group of clergy or priests just came around him and then there was chaos. Now after the crowd dispersed, after the chaos, the Governor General lay on the stairs and he was already dying. So ganun ang nangyari dito kay Governor General Fernando Bustamante. And this inspired Hidalgo's artwork. Bakit tumatawa ka, Mr. Daniel? Nakakatawa my story. I think it's really an honorable story, but you're laughing. Yes? What's wrong?
Wala pa, wala. Wala, ma'am.
Mamaya, bibisita si Governor General sa panaginip mo. Okay? Now, this is a part of history. And so, however, what is this? If it's a controversial issue siya, it sparks more art. So out of this history, lumabas din ang La Loba Negra ni Father Jose Burgos. So this is a play naman. And the play centers on the revenge of General Bustamante's wife. Sa mga officers na involved doon sa case ni General Bustamante. Alright, so that's legend and history. Now, there are times na the kind of subject can be overlapping. For example, history and everyday life kanina. So if the painting was taken at present, it is everyday life. But if it is inspired by a historical event, then it is history. So you have to be careful that later maybe you think na it's just everyday life. It happened in the past naman. It was inspired by history naman. Okay? All right, next, we have dreams and fantasies. That's number 8. These are usually vague and illogical. And why is that? Because it's a depiction of dreams. And sometimes dreams don't really make sense. Alam mo yung nasa one scene ka and then suddenly you jumped into another and it doesn't make sense at all and you're confused. Okay? Or it could also be the grotesque terrors and apprehensions that lurk in the depths of the subconscious. So somewhat ang subconscious mo may gustong sabihin yan, but it can only appear to you in dreams. And also, since it appeared to you in dreams, you are also able to put it down into a work of art. For example, Joan Miro's The Hunter. So, The Hunter ang title niya. Let's look into it. Okay, which one looks like a hunter here? There is a flea, there is a squid. I don't know if this is a squid. There is also another squid, or maybe that's a jellyfish, or maybe it's a kite. There is a ladder there, and there is a wheel. Parang nagwa-one cycle siya. Okay, so if you look at it, ang style ni Joan Miro is, ang gamit niya is Dadaism. Dadaism is with the use of stick. But at the same time, surrealism. Kasi hindi rin natin maintindihan kung ano ba talaga yung gusto niyang sabihin. Okay, but according to them, this is the hunter daw. Itong guy na to. Okay, does it make sense? This is the head of the hunter, and the hunter is the hunter has a pipe, and this is his arm, and on the other arm nakahawak siya ng, this is accordingly a dead rabbit. Ito yung hinant niya na rabbit. Okay, so a lot of that, marami ang interpretations, but then again, it's a dream. Sometimes you don't really fully interpret it, you don't really understand it, and sometimes maybe they just make sense if you look into it further. All right, so that's an example of dreams and fantasies. Next one, we have religion and mythology. This is the last one. Okay, and religion has used arts to aid in worship. So to instruct, to inspire feelings of devotion, and to impress and convert non-believers. So for example, what are the arts that we see in church? Maybe there's a stained glass design, tapos nandun yung body ni Jesus na hawak ni Mary, or maybe he was in the cross, or maybe yung mga statues natin of the saints, the statues of Jesus on the cross also. And what else? If you are a Catholic, most probably you have the Stations of the Cross. Diba? Yung naka-painting, either naka-painting siya or naka-tarpaulin siya, but it's still a picture. And all of those are artworks that have been used by religion, but have been influenced by religion. Okay, so for example, this one also, Michelangelo's. I like to read it Michelangelo, by the way. The fresco at the Sistine Chapel. So this one is a painting on the ceiling of the whole chapel. Tapos it started from the beginning, the creation of the world, going to the flood and Noah. Noah and the flood. So that's how big religion could influence the arts. Actually, talagang ang religion, it influenced arts a lot. When we go to the Renaissance era, Renaissance period, most of that, ang mga subjects nila is about religion, about Christianity. Meanwhile, ang mythology naman, mostly makikita natin siya sa Greek artworks. So that's how big these two are. Okay, now there are times again that they could be overlapping. So meron kang siguro portrait, but at the same time religion siya. Siguro it is a figure, but at the same time it's mythology. So that's okay, but as long as ang importante you are able to identify kung ano ba talaga siya. All right, so those are 9 again. We have landscapes, seascapes, cityscapes, and then we have still life, and then we have animals, we have portraits, we have figures, we have everyday life, we have legend and history, we have dreams and fantasies, and we have religion and mythology. Okay, so I think clear naman, no questions. We're ready to go to the next. 3:30 tayo nag-start. Oh, it's almost 1 hour na. Okay, we go to the next na. This time we talk about the artist and his choice of subject. Again, it's either you are influenced by your experience, by your interests, or whatever it is that you fancy. But whatever is your subject, this choice involves some personal statement. So palaging merong personal attachment yan. What does it mean for you when you're the artist, when you make that one? All right, so choice of subject can also be influenced by the medium. So when we mean medium, ano yung gamit niya? So for example, in painting, is it watercolor? Is it oil painting? Is it not? And then ang subject mo is still life. So can you paint still life with the use of watercolor, with the use of paint? Okay, how is it? Or a better example is a sculpture. Okay, will you be able to capture a landscape with the use of sculpture, with the use of wood, with the use of metal? Most of the time, siguro mahirap siya. It is possible, pero mahirap siya. Okay, so it depends on your medium din, kung ano yung gamit mo. And then also, as I said a while back, it depends on the time. Kailan ka ba naging artist? Ano ba yung uso nung ikaw ay isang artist? So, baka nung Greek period ka pala naging artist, then most likely you are influenced by mythology. Okay, and then on the patronage that you get. Patronage. So whatever pays you, nababayaran ka ba kung nagpaint ka ng portrait? Nababayaran ka ba kung nagpaint ka ng landscape? Sometimes wala ka ding choice, but it is your work. So you have to choose that subject. Okay, now we go to the subject and content. So this one, it's quite a little harder to explain and quite a little bit harder to understand, but let's be there. However, subject is not the content and vice versa. Content is not the subject either. When I discussed about lecture 1, when I lectured for the first time, I said that an art has to have a form, it has to take a form, at the same time, it has to take content. So, okay lang wala siyang subject, but dapat meron siyang content. Now, let's look at subject versus content. So, while subject refers to the objects or people or scene or thing depicted by the artist, content naman refers to what the artist expresses or communicates on the whole in his work. What is the message that the artist wants to bring to you or to bring out of you? Or what is the feeling or what is the mood that you are in when you look into that work of art? Or what is the realization? Or in literature, what is the theme? What is the moral of the story? Okay, we go to this one and try to identify. So this is Jackie Louis David's The Death of Marat. So let's try to identify the subject. Obviously, what is it talking about? It's the death of Marat. Okay, however, how does this make you feel? What mood does it put you in? Or what do you realize about this one? Okay, so maybe that death in general causes us to feel helpless, that we are not living forever, that we have regrets maybe when we die, or that we are lost, we cannot live again. I mean, not in the perspective of the afterlife, pero we cannot do anything anymore once we are dead already. So parang what it is creating in us is it's hopelessness. Hopelessness. Or maybe some of you, maybe if you are looking at it the Christian point of view, with death comes good life, okay, or hope. After death there is hope. However, depende kasi yan. Whatever it is, the content is there. It has to be related to the theme or what is happening in that. Okay? Now, let's try to identify the subject and content of this one. I'm not sure if you've read this or if you've watched it. It's The Hobbit, written by J.R.R. Tolkien, but it was first shown 2012 ata yun. Okay, have you watched this? In my other classes, some did not, some don't remember it. Kanina lang, meron namang nakaalala. That's good. I'm not sure about this class though. Okay, I think you don't remember it. You did not watch it maybe. Okay, what is it? What is the movie then that you have watched recently? Let's say Avengers. Nanonood kayo Avengers? No? No, also, okay, or a story. Kahit ano, K-drama. Wala? Anything Netflix? Okay, let's talk about that. Anime. All right, so let's talk about anime. And what is the anime, Mr. Basilio? Okay, Avengers kay Miss Johanna. Si Mr. Basilio, pag tinatanong ko, hindi na sumagot. Okay, you can use the chat box. O sige, let's try Miss Johanna naman. Okay, Avengers, what is the subject of that? What is it all about?
Superheroes, mom.
Okay, it is about superheroes. So those are the subjects of the movie. Now, what did you learn from that? Or what is the value that it is trying to evoke out of you?
You won't always win, even if you're the best.
Okay, you won't always win even if you're the best. That's good. I like that. That is, that can be the content of that. Okay, or what else? About value naman. So that is something that she learned, that can be the lesson, the moral. How about value naman? Like, what is it all about? Is it bravery? Is it courage? Is it patriotism? Is it nationalism? Okay, or what is it? Okay, maybe it's also about bravery. Okay, or loyalty. Loyalty to who? Loyalty to the people who you are trying to protect on this earth. Ganyan. Okay? Let's leave the Hobbit behind. It appears talagang old na to for your generation. Okay, so let's look into this time into content more, the different levels of meaning. So we have factual. When we talk about the factual level, these are the literal statement or the narrative content, or these are based on the objects that are easily recognized. So you will be able to detect this level of meaning by looking at the object, looking at perhaps kanina yung persistence of memory, looking at the clock, looking at the dead trees, okay, all of those. All right, now, conventional naman is the special meaning. You are looking at the special meaning that a certain object or color has for a particular culture or group of people. So for example, kanina, when we looked at the clock, what does that signify? When we looked at the dying tree, what does that signify? What does it mean? Okay, or when we look at a particular color, what does it mean? Ano yung color nung sa persistence of memory kanina is mostly brown. It's mostly orange. Parang if you're looking at it, it's dry. What does dry mean? It's the absence of life. Okay, what else? What does blue mean? What does yellow mean? What does red mean? So that's what we are trying to look into when we are looking at the conventional level. Now, the last one is subjective. So subjective this time is the personal meaning consciously or unconsciously conveyed by the artist using a private symbolism. So this time, personal meaning, this is the deepest already. What does the artist want to say with this art that he created? Now, this can only be fully understood when the artist himself explains what he really means, but it's not the case all the time. So what do you do when you are trying to identify the subjective meaning of it? Eh, hindi naman sinabi ng artist. So you try to look into the background of the artwork, the background of the artist, and what else? Maybe some important events that happened in the life of the artist that made him work on this and what it means for him at that time. So sa subjective level, we need a deeper engagement and we need to open our empathy portals as well para ma-open ang ating analysis or understanding of these artists and their works. Okay, so we look at an example by Vincent van Gogh. I think it is this class also who has used the Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. Okay, so we look at the factual meaning of this. So what is it about? I mean, what is happening right here? Ano yung meaning niya? So it is just about the night. Okay, just one peaceful serene night. One calm night, one beautiful night. So maybe we can say ang factual meaning is a peaceful night. Now let's look at the conventional naman. Let's look at the symbols that are used. So we see that there are swirls. Okay, here, there are swirls. Okay, we try to identify ano bang ibig sabihin ng swirls. Okay, what could it mean? Okay, what else? There, the color that is usually, I mean, the primary color that was used, it is blue. What can blue mean? Okay, so let's look into them one by one. So what could swirls mean? How do you feel when you see swirls? Swirls. Okay, wind, sabi ni Mr. Soriano. Okay, maybe it is the wind. Whirls, whirlwind, whirls. Okay, swirls. All right, so remember, look at this. When you're looking at a swirl like this and it's continually going around, how would you feel? Wala? Wala kang nabi-feel kung nakakakita ka ng swirl? Okay, or let's do it here. What does this mean when you do it here, the swirl?
Nahihilo, ma'am.
Hilo, ma'am.
Nahihilo, that's right. And then, Mr. Daniel, what's that? Hypnotized, dizzy. Okay, confused. All right, madness. Okay, good. So see, maraming naisip kong nag-swirl na. Yan. And then how about the blue? What does blue mean? What does the color blue mean? Kasi this is, obviously, this is an not so ordinary night. Kasi ang gabi, black, di ba? Pero bakit blue yung ginamit niya? Okay, loneliness, sadness, madness, loneliness, okay, right? Remember, when a person says, I am feeling blue today, what do they mean? I'm feeling so down, I'm feeling depressed, I'm so low today. Ganon ang ibig sabihin niya. So let's combine those together. So the swirls, the madness, the the dizziness, the hypnotized feeling, the confused feeling, together with loneliness. So lonely ka na, busy ka pa, you don't know what's happening around you. So maybe we can say na ang meaning ng dalawa when put together is you are anxious and you are bothered rather, and at the same time you are lonely. So parang it's the loss of something to be happy about. Okay, or that you are having a poor mental health. So may ganun-ganun siya. Okay, and then the subjective meaning, again, it takes research, and accordingly, Vincent van Gogh was able to do this painting when he was at the asylum, when he was at the mental hospital. So, nung nasa mental hospital siya, nagawa niya to, and somewhat, alam mo yon, but still in his most depressive moment, he was able to create something beautiful. He was able to see the stars in the night sky kahit dark siya. Okay, and he was able to see peace kahit na gulong-gulo na yung utak niya. So maybe the subjective meaning of this is for you to keep on hoping. Okay? So ganyan ang pag-content analysis ng mga artwork. All right. So we go last na. We are going to talk about the ugly and tragic in art naman. Now, again, we said last time na there is, just because it is ugly, just because grotesque ang theme niya doesn't invalidate it as an art. Okay? The grotesque, ugly, and tragic are all as valid as the pleasurable and beautiful subjects of art. Now, the thing is, a good number of works of art are concerned with pain and evil. Actually, most ng mga arts is inspired kasi the person, the artist, is in pain, or that he has encountered an evil thing in the world. So for example, yung kay Vincent van Gogh kanina, he was in pain. That's why he was able to create the art. Actually, karamihan naman mga artist na yan. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Sorry. I'm not mocking their pain, but, but because of that, they were able to create something beautiful. So it's somewhat inspirational in a way. And also the greatest plays are tragedies, Romeo and Juliet, the Oedipus Rex, what is that na? Yung, I'm not sure if you know this, yung Les Miserables, those ones. As well as the memorable songs are all about love denied or lost. Okay, now what makes all of these very ugly and tragic art something that is memorable? Okay, it is because, again, they are relatable. It is because it touches our hearts as people. It invokes our empathy. Okay, so in one way or another, we have experienced pain. So parang we use that as a channel to understand yung pain na parang tina-transmit ng artist sa atin. Okay, and lastly, it is because we are also glad na other people are also experiencing the same thing. Hindi lang pala tayo nag-iisa in experiencing our in our pain, experiencing our pain, and yet they were able to make it. So parang ganun ang ibig sabihin niyan. But whatever it is, again, when we talk about subject, nothing is invalid. Everything is valid. Okay? Do you have any questions? No questions? Okay, that means all is clear. Okay, good. So what we're going to do today, after we've had wrong press. Okay, after we've had this, is to look at our activities. Okay, so this is task 2.1, subject dig in. So the instructions are you're going to work in threes and your groupings were already presented here in Canvas. So we have group number 1, Felina Vivian. Okay, I want you to take note of who your group mates are and your group number. Okay, group 1, Felina Garcia Lisalis. Okay, take note of those. Number 2, De Luna Dulpina Vidaure. Okay, number 3, Danau Odsi Salidaw. All right, number 4, Baon Gardo Liktawa. Okay, please take note of your group mates and your number. Number 5, Domeng Soriano Tongtonggan. Okay, we have Adais Arumin Basilio, number 6. Number 7, Bernardo Sabido Sas. Okay, number 8, Alipio Ancheta Mauri. Okay, number 9, Kak Manuel Palway. Number 10, Ayawan Foyos Garcia. Number 11, Kadawang Kasaklang Demot. Yes, Miss Johanna.
Nag-move na daw po si Ma'am Garcia Ian Michelle.
Oh, so she's not a part of this class?
Yes po, meron din po kasing group from another subject ata. Tapos siya din po ka-grupo namin. Tapos sabi po niya lumipat na daw po siya.
Saan siya nag-transfer?
Other school daw po.
So hindi siya nagtuloy sa UC. Not in UC anymore. Okay, for a while. Kasi, okay, and then some of them, they just researched it online. Hindi naman yun ang diniscuss natin. That's not what I am after. So you have to relate it to yourself and you have to be able to do it in the way that these were presented, okay? Now, we go to, that's 15 points. We go to the artwork for each group. Group 1, Edward Hopper's Hill with Lighthouse. Please take note of your work. Number 2, Group 2, Jan Bruegel, The Elder's Bouquet. Number 3, Sandro Botticelli's The Birth of Venus. So this is how they look like, in case you're getting confused, in case hindi nyo ma-search. Group 4, Pieter Bruegel's Hunters in the Snow. Group 5, Honore Domier's Third Class Carriage. Group 6, Salvador Dali's Dream. Group 7, Grant Wood's The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. Group 8, David. Okay, next, Group 9, Karel Fabricius's The Goldfinch. Group 10, Sir Joseph Noel Paton's The Reconciliation of Oberon and Titania. Group 11, Rembrandt's The Night Watch. Group 12, Vincent van Gogh's Cafe Terrace at Night. Group 13, and the last one, Rene Magritte's The Son of Man. Okay, were you able to take down the name of your artworks? Yes, were you able to take down your group mates' names?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Para clear tayong lahat. All right. So what we will be doing is discussion time for 20 minutes. And then when we return later, random ang inyong pag-present. Okay. So when you present, for example, I'll just present this one. Okay. So group 1 na yung next. So you should be ready. Okay. Edward Hopper's Hill with Lighthouse. Maybe next na to. Next na to. Next na to. So random lang yan. So if your group is presented here, you should be able to do your presentation already or your work. Okay, I'll put the grade questions dito sa chat box natin. You may leave the room, it's okay, but return by, what time is it? It's 4:52. Okay, return by 5:20, okay? Return by 5:20. Dapat 5:20 nandito na kayo. Understood?